Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Culture Binge. This is the Wisecrack podcast where we zoom out, take a deep breath, and ask ourselves, what's this all for and why are we still here? I'm your host, Michael Burns, joined as always by the person who's flying away like a bird, trying to find her home. Surbhi, how are you today? Sorry, I told myself I'd keep it together, but as we all know, this is Surbhi's last episode as a full-time host on Culture Binge. How does it feel, Surbhi?
Very sad. I've been dreading it since I made the announcement during the last episode, and I'm very, very sad. I've been teary-eyed all morning, and yesterday I was feeling very blue and was kind of moping, and I told my mom, I was like, I'm sad. So that's basically what I've been doing.
Yeah. Well, and as we talked about last time, I think that we should all just be aware, and everyone listening to the podcast should be aware that, a thing we've talked about so much, I think especially over the past year, is like work and boundaries and valuing our lives and not just spending our entire lives being productive for other people. And you talked about this a little bit in the last episode, but I think all of us, while we're sad that you're leaving, are both proud of you and happy for you that you're leaving to live your life, spend time on yourself. And we think that's just objectively good. So you're doing the right thing, and you're doing something that I think for all of us who help make this podcast and for everyone who listens to it, I think Surbhi's just being a great example here of the importance of not letting our work become our lives. And that's a good thing.
Thank you. That's so nice of you to say.
Hey, anytime. So we're going to obviously have a mellow one today. We're going to hang out a bit because this is our last time hanging out with Surbhi, so we want to soak it up. But to really have good vibes, we are today going to talk about the return of COVID. Not that it ever went away, but it's going to be our second very COVID-y Christmas. So we'll chat about that for a bit. We are going to do a big Slaps and Chaps for the whole year, but we're going to save that till the end. We might have a special guest coming in. We're not totally sure yet. But if that happens, we'll have three of us. We'll talk Slaps and Chaps. Producer Maddie might jump in as well. Before we get into our bummer of a topic, our first thing, Surbhi, it's the holiday week. I think we're streaming now on December 22nd. This episode will come out, I think the day before Christmas. What are the holidays like for you? What are your holiday plans?
No real holiday plans. The family is not getting together for Christmas. We're all just sort of doing our own thing to stay safe. And I will be spending quite a bit of time at the beach with my mom, which is nice.
Yes.
And doing a lot of just touristy kind of things, I think. Driving around to see lights and going to big areas just to see how people are decorating. So it'll be really nice. But yeah, Amazing. It won't be a normal Christmas this year.
Yeah. Okay. So how about this? What do you like about the holiday time of year? Is there things you like about Christmas?
I like that when I'm with my family, I can't think about work.
Yes, the theme of Surbhi's life, late 2021.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just I'm forced to be present. So I like that a lot. Whereas this year I was supposed to be off since Friday, and I'm still working today. So it's one of those things where it's like, if my family was here, then it's easier for me to be like, I know you're mad at me, but I can't get this done because I'm with my family.
Yeah, I feel you. People should start working as early as possible. Something I noticed I won't say that this is the case of the parent company that I work for, but I won't say that it's not. That's something I noticed that was very fun, is the company policy is like half day on Christmas Eve. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, working right up until Christmas. But then I realized that you can't get a hold of anyone in high ranking positions in the company because everyone's been off for a week already. So I love when they do that.
Yeah, that's really generous, and it's a really thoughtful act by the company. Yeah. I'd say.
I love companies. This is Culture Binge, the podcast that asks the question, what if we could marry companies, and which companies would we marry? Um, so that's a fun thing. And I will say, just as a heads up, I'll remind everyone at the end of the podcast as well. Um, on our next episode, we actually have a couple authors, Kyle Lewis and Will Strong, who recently wrote a book about work and the possibility of a 4-day work week. I did a long interview with them. That's going to air after the new year. So, Surbhi, maybe just as a civilian, that you could get some enjoyment out of that, because they're going to break down some of the sort of philosophical and ethical issues around work culture. So let's get into our first topic. We'll get this out of the way. The last couple weeks have been weird. I feel like the last time we were on this podcast together, we lived in a world where, the COVID-19 virus was still a thing, but, people have been getting vaccinated and boosted. Society has attained some level of normalcy. People have been going to work, to movies, to concerts. Yes, wearing masks, occasionally showing proof of vaccination, but we've been living some type of life. And then it feels like very quickly in the past couple of weeks, things changed. And the emergence of the Omicron variant, which I feel like I first heard about the week of Thanksgiving, really has accelerated things. So now in places like New York, you can't get a rapid test to save your life. There's lines around the block to get tested. Cases jump tenfold in a matter of days. Restaurants are shutting down. Broadway shows are no more. Sporting events are getting canceled. People are having to rethink Christmas plans. It's a lot of similar stuff in the Midwest, where it's cold. Out where we live in Southern California, it's not quite there yet, but for the past 3 days, just looking at some of my favorite restaurants, coffee shops, and bars in the neighborhood, a lot of places are either shutting down, doing limited hours, things like that as we get up to the holidays. So that's a thing, and it's kind of a bummer. So let's start with, how are you feeling about this? Is this something that's like, because I think people are having different attitudes. Some folks are like, the sky is falling. Oh my God, life is over. Let's panic. Some people are like, who fucking cares? I can't put any more anxiety into this. Some people are in the middle. So where are you at?
I'm in the middle. I was not one of those people that, as soon as I got vaccinated, I was out and about living life pre-pandemic. So I was still very careful. I still only really went out when I needed to go out. I still wasn't really doing big group events or big public events and things like that. So I'm sort of in the middle. Like, to me, like, I was already kind of at home still, so it's not like a big, I don't feel it as intensely. And I also I don't think I appreciated the severity of the variant. Like, I thought it was like, oh, okay, another variant, but I didn't really think too much about it. Now it seems like it's highly contagious, and there's like a huge surge in cases. So I'm a little concerned, but not concerned, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying there. I mean, it is interesting. One of the reasons I kind of wanted to talk about this today too, just because it's such a big story, it's hard to ignore. Also, because I realized we have been talking about this on and off for 2 years on this podcast now. I looked it up, and it's been almost 2 years since the first time we were kind of like, hey, I guess this is a thing. And we've kind of worked through all these stages of it. So it felt silly to not talk about it now. But yeah, I think something that stood out to me is the difference in how I feel this time. Because I was someone, and I think listeners of the podcast know this, I got a little panicky the first 6 to 9 months of this whole thing, freaked out a little bit, got a little bit apocalyptic, but I don't want to say I've come full circle to where I'm some crazy denier, but like, it sucks. It is what it is, but it is a part of life now. And I think that like some of the reactions, and I know a lot of people listen to our podcast are people that spend a lot of time on the internet, for better or worse. But the reactions on like Twitter and social media have been kind of wild this time, where some people almost seem like they get off on freaking out about it. And maybe that's insensitive of me to say, but it's become like a certain personality type. And I think another thing that I really hate are these posts on social media. I made one of these before, so it happens. But where someone's like, I've done everything right. I've gotten 3 shots. I hang out with vaccinated friends and family. And today, I got COVID. And it's just like, okay, like, you're not the main character in a drama about your life. Like, it sucks, but it's not a moral failing either way. You're not like bad if you get it. You're not good if you don't. We live in a world. Biology is real. Shit's happening. I don't know. it's like kind of hard to process now. And this one is interesting because there's kind of and I think there's some stories I'll link in the description. Both were in New York Magazine, written by David Wallace Wells, a writer that we've referenced a lot on the podcast when it comes to issues of science because he's good and relatively well measured. Also wrote a really good book about climate change. But two pieces he's had in the last few days. One, the point of which was basically like, "Hey guys, this sucks, but it might not be that bad." Meaning that he in talking to a lot of scientists, talking about that it's not going to be as severe. Not as many people are going to die. In a lot of ways, we shouldn't be as panicked as we have been. And another piece he wrote more recently was sort of like, but also we're probably all going to get this. Mm-hmm. So it's been interesting to hear those both sides. Like, I don't know, have you, so are you kind of in that place of feeling like, well, it's not going to be that bad and or I might get it, so who cares?
I'm more feeling like I've accepted, as you mentioned earlier, that this is a part of life. And I will take all necessary precautions and will try my best. But I don't want to live so much like I lived all of last year, where like I never left my home. So I'm trying to strike a balance between being careful and being a decent human being who cares about this pandemic and does her best. But I also don't think I can do another year of like never leaving the house.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because last time we were together, we talked about going to experience culture in life. We got some good emails about that, but we talked about, going to see the operas and symphonies and plays and comedy shows and music. So it is interesting to think about the effect then that this is having on culture, because we just got back to this point where, Broadway has opened back up and people have been going to see more plays. A lot of people in cities around the country have been seeing more live music and live comedy shows. And even this past week with the opening of Spider-Man No Way Home, a lot of people have been going to movie theaters. A lot of people have been in packed, sold out movie theaters. So I think that, in our previous discussion, like it kind of sucks that one of the last things we talked about in this podcast was the importance of experiencing culture collectively and what that means for us as humans to have those experiences. And I would say that's the side of this that's bumming me out the most. Mm-hmm. Is that we're moving backwards in terms of our ability to experience live culture again.
It almost feels like we had a taste of normalcy and now it's gone. And it feels soul crushing in a way. Like you remembered what it was like to be with other people. You remember what it was like to have that collective feeling. And now we're all alone again, or we're encouraged to be alone in some ways.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of people as well, I imagine many of us have had this feeling of last Christmas, I didn't see all my friends and family, or last New Year's, I just hung out alone or hung out with a partner or roommates. And I was excited. I was maybe going to go to a New Year's karaoke based event, which I think is not going to happen anymore. So there is an interesting and bummer experience of going backwards in that sense. So I am hoping, I don't know, I'm hoping that we don't lose, I guess, that return to culture. And there's some people in the chat who are pointing out some good things. Pablo Sanchez points out that there's a reliable treatment will be a big game changer than the vaccines. And yeah, just today, I think it was the Pfizer pill got approved by the U.S. government, at least, which is a treatment option when people get it. That's going to be huge. Our friend Dude Abides, who's here and is kindly shouted out Surbhi a couple times, let us know that he just got boosted a couple hours ago. And Joe M says, not concerned since it's supposed to be milder and close to the usual flu, especially if you're vaxxed. And then one last point, I'll hit the chat again later in the show, but Easy E says, or the Easy E, goodbye, Surbhi, you'll be missed.
Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess I would just hope that in the coming weeks and months that we don't go backward so much that like we're not, I don't know, participating in some of the joys of collective human life. And I hope we can find healthy ways to do those. And I'll read one more comment from the chat now. JGE says, I'm no longer against anti-vaxxers climate change because I'm actively rooting for the earth to win.
That's funny.
I don't mind that perspective. And okay, one more. Everyone, this is very rare that I'm actively in the chat because I'm on someone else's computer today and I can handle both things at once. Bonzo says, I feel very shitty and selfish, but I feel very over all the caution. The original lockdowns destroyed my mental health, and I don't know if I can sacrifice that again. That's totally valid. And I think that relates to this question of losing culture and human connection. It's just the mental health toll that all of this has played on us over the past couple of years. And I do think, to me, it seems less that people are like, I don't care about other people or I don't care about epidemiology. It seems like people are just like, I don't know if I can handle being that miserable again.
I agree. I can understand that perspective. Because it's hard. I mean, you want to do the right thing, but it's hard, especially when you've been doing the right thing for so long and you know that you're suffering in a lot of ways. So if you feel like if you want to still go out and do things and be careful, I totally get it.
Yeah. So where are you going to be comfortable like going to movies, doing stuff like that?
I'm still not comfortable with things like that, but if like there's this really nice hotel that I want to see. They decorate it really nicely for Christmas. So I will go like wear my mask, go see the hotel. Whereas a year ago, I would not have done anything like that. I would have driven around in my car looking at lights. So I'm still not like comfortable eating at restaurants and going to a movie theater and stuff like that. But I'm venturing out more than I would have done.
So we'll move on from this conversation. We are hoping for the best. And hey, listen, everybody, we're hoping that we don't have to worry about this again soon. We know that, and this is what was in one of the David Wallace Wells pieces. We're hoping that this thing spikes and not any people die and dips down and we get back to something and we can get to an endemic state. We're hoping for it. And we genuinely hope everyone has as good of a holiday as you can. We hope people can be creative and, value health, but value your mental health too. We're not saying put people at risk, but we're saying like, you got to take care of the noggin and the emotions. Is that fair, Surbhi?
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. Well, before we keep going, and friends, we're about to get into our 2021 mega slaps and chaps. So if you're in the chat, we would love for you to jump in, and I'll read some. I will actively stay in the chat. I'll look at your slaps and chaps as well. But first, we have a special message from this episode's sponsor, which was, oh man, sorry. This is why I hate looking in the chat. I'll just say this now because I'm here. We can cut this out of the podcast episode. Never mind. I hate bummer stuff in the chat. If you like come to the chat just to be mean, it's like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, why would you do that? Like, where are you at in life? Where you just want to come into a chat of a podcast just to be rude. Okay, but speaking of things that aren't rude, and speaking of things that are great, I'll tell a quick story, and then we will get into this ad read. Did you have a mini fridge in your college dorm, Surbhi, at any point?
I didn't live on campus when I was...
Oh, you're so smart.
Yeah.
Well, I had a mini fridge that I won in some contest, and it was known during my freshman year of college that if you came to my dorm, a few things would happen. One, there'd probably be like a Jackass DVD playing on my tiny TV/DVD player. If not that, we'd be playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater on GameCube. But you always knew that in my mini fridge, there was mini cans of Mountain Dew because I was obsessed with drinking Mountain Dew as a college kid, which is why I am so excited about this sponsor for this episode. So Maddie, roll the tape.
There are times when you're looking for something to drink and you know that only one drink will do. Mountain Dew. The next time you want a truly refreshing break, you deserve more than just to be satisfied. You deserve to be totally blown away, which is what you'll get from Mountain Dew.
Well, thank you, Mountain Dew, for sponsoring Culture Binge. That's pretty exciting.
That's super exciting.
Yeah.
Did you get free cases of Mountain Dew or no?
Oh, when we get off this episode, I'm going to go into a diabetic coma from all the Mountain Dew I'm about to drink. I'll drink zero sugar. No, so I think we have a special guest coming on for our 2021 Slaps and Chaps. I'm going to look into the chat right now to get us started. So, CCJ2 says, Slap, got a brand new job. Amazing.
Congratulations. Yay. They're so lucky to have you.
Yeah, and this is a very Surbhi problem. Chaps, have way too much on my plate and desperately need a vacation.
Yes.
Yeah. Pablo Sanchez says, sponsored by Mountain Dew. Is this real life? Yeah, it really happened.
That's so cool. Mountain
We were surprised.
Is great. Yay.
That's kind of fun. Okay, so let's get into our 2021 Slaps and Chaps. Okay. This is a weird year. So much happened this year. A lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff. This relates to what we just talked about. There's been a lot of stages. So I have a question. Do we want to do like all chaps, then all slaps? Do we want to bounce around? Wait, who is that?
Hi.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alec Offerman, former host of Culture Binge, in the chat, on the pod, right now, in front of us. Hey, Alec.
Hey, I already fucked up because I forgot to hit record, but whatever. Hey, Surbhi, it's your last day. Oh my God.
Hi, it's so nice to see you. How were your travels? I liked your tweet updates.
Amazing. And for anyone who's jumping in, who's confused right now, for anyone who started listening in the last 6 months, this is Alec. He's the original host of Culture Binge. He, about 6 months ago, he was the first person that started the Great Resignation. He's patient zero. Yes. And he left to go travel the national parks of this country with his lovely partner. And it's amazing. I think we've all been so envious in a good way of your experience. Do you want to give us a few highlights?
One time I was on a very high ridge and I went in some bushes to pee, as one does, and there was a giant bighorn sheep, and I thought it was going to ram me off of the ridge, but instead it ran. It was great. Yeah, I mean, Glacier National Park, there's glaciers. They're disappearing fast. Go before they're gone. Climate change is basically ruining a ton, if not all, of the national parks. So really just go to all of them. Some of them are doing great, but some of them not so hot.
You look so good, by the way. So tan and trim and happy.
Yeah. Guys, not working is good for you, everyone. If you want to be healthy, save money and go to parks.
I'm going to write a book. It's like how to lose weight. And it's just quit your job, have enough money, quit your job, and don't work for 6 months. It's a great mental health, diet, strategy, all those things.
I have to say, like, your experience really encouraged me to leave Culture Binge because I realized I was like,
whoa,
I know.
Should we all just go? Like, we're just going to stop the podcast here. Let's just all go, fuck it. Let's go to the woods.
I was like, oh gosh, Alec did it. I was like, maybe, I don't think I'm ready to quit my job yet, but I was like, oh, like this would be so nice to focus more on what makes me happy. And I do think eventually I will need to quit my job and not work for a while. Next year.
Amazing. Listen, you only got one life. And again, I'm just telling you, everyone's going to love the next episode where we interview some verso authors about their book on work. You'll have so much fun with it. Everyone stick around. Great. So Alec is here. We're very excited about this. We appreciate you being here. So let's have a little fun. Let's do some 2020 on Slaps and Chaps. We'll pass the ball around a little bit. Do we want to bounce between Slaps and Chaps, or stick with one category and switch to the other? Surbhi, what do you think?
I think bounce around. This way it's not like a heavy, these were all the shitty things that happened this last year.
Okay, well, let's start with this now. Let's start with a slap. Okay? One of our slaps from 2021, Surbhi, will start with you.
So I talk about work a lot. 2021 professionally was fantastic for my career. I progressed further. I was fortunate to experience a lot of amazing events, a lot of like once in a career opportunity kind of events. I'm on a new career path. I'm really excited about where I'm going with that. So yeah, I think professionally I thrived this year, probably because Worked a lot.
Yeah. I'm sure this will, there's another side of this coin that will be a chap later, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Alec, how about you? What's a slap you had in 2021?
Well, fuck, I already ruined it, but the national park system, all parks are beautiful, APAB. Go visit them if they're near you. There's a lot if you're on the West Coast.
What is APAB?
All parks are beautiful.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. It's like another cool saying. Just don't worry about what the other cool saying is, but know that it's very cool.
YOLO.
Yeah, it's like YOLO.
That's the other one we were thinking of. That's the other main one that everyone was thinking of. I'll do a slap. I'll go less personal than you all. 2021 was a good year for weird and absurdist comedy content. We've gone through a few phases recently, and something about maybe I think the pandemic and the last year and political and economic collapse has driven people to weird places, and I think it's benefited the comedy creation pipeline. You look at the New York Times, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, they have a whole feature on How To with John Wilson, a show the premise of which is a weird guy films stuff in New York and then puts together video essays that go all types of places. And famous writer Susan Orlean is now in his writing room. It's incredible.
Yeah.
You start an episode with him where he tells you you're going to learn about wine. The next thing you know, he is getting busted by Keith Raniere and Allison Mack at a Nexium-sponsored a cappella singing concert in Albany, New York. Just a real thing that happens in a 10-minute segment of that episode. Also, we just finished another season of Joe Parra Talks with You. Connor O'Malley's been crushing it with weird videos online. Sarah Sherman, a.k.a. Sarah Squirm, got hired by SNL. She's one of the weirdest comedians I've ever seen or been around. Also, just a lovely person. I had the privilege of doing some political canvassing with her right before the pandemic. But I'm glad to see that happening. I feel like it says something nice about the cultural sensibilities of people right now in a world that's making less and less sense. So that's a slap for me for 2021.
Hey, that sounds
Yeah, let's be negative. Surbhi, chap. What sucked about 2021?
So with Chapped, I spent the first 8 months of the year still nursing that broken heart from last year. I feel like I missed out a lot of the year because I didn't realize that my ex was a controlling, abusive, compulsive liar. So that wasn't great. So I would say that Chapped.
That's real. Alec, how about you?
How do I
Give us
follow
a
that?
chat.
I'm so sorry, Surbhi.
I know. Yeah, it sucks.
I've got a whole list. I don't know. Wildfires, those chap. They're not as personal, but they burned half of a park I wanted to go to. I'm not, a Californian, but you're just driving hundreds of miles and the sky is yellow the entire time. Emily in Paris is out today. Wow.
Yes.
Sorry.
So excited.
Sorry, I just got a very weird notification.
Yeah.
But yeah, the entire
That's real.
world being on fire.
Yeah, I'll just this won't be my chat, but I will second as not a native, but an adopted Californian. It sucks when the sky is bad for weeks on end because Earth is burning and natural landscapes are being devastated. It's a big bummer. But we've kind of gone from very personal and very serious with Surbhi's chap to Alex, which was, ecologically significant. I'm going to go just petty. Chap for me. Here's the thing that happened in 2021. The experience of ordering inside of a fast casual restaurant has been ruined. Here's why it's been ruined by pickup orders. You go to a Chipotle or something like that now, and you can't get served because so many people don't want to wait in the line for 2 seconds that they all do their orders online or on phone. So then you have 2 people at the little to-go order section who are losing their minds, who seem very overworked. And to be clear, this is not a criticism of employees at fast casual restaurants. It's a criticism of people not having the ability just to go in and order. So it's made that experience bad. I don't like it. I think we all got spoiled at a certain period of the pandemic where it was just you ordered food from a place, they'd put it on a little shelf, you'd grab it and go. Some people are still trying to do that.
You could just be that person and then you wouldn't have to complain about it. You could also go on the app.
Right.
No, but then you go on the app and you show up, and then everyone's behind. People are stressed out. I mean, God forbid you go to a Sweet Green in the Los Angeles area around 7 p.m. on a weeknight. It is just all hell is breaking loose. I have gotten some free beverages from having an order that got screwed up. And I'll say, as always, if your order gets screwed up, just be nice. It's not their fault. And maybe you'll get like a free cookie or whatever. But that's a chap. I don't know. It's been something that's annoyed me this year. Let's do another slap. Surbhi, give us another slap.
Another slap. Personally, it was a great year. I invested a lot in my friendships, so they strengthened quite a bit. I also feel like I grew a lot and became a lot more independent. And I think as I reflected back on past romantic relationships and just friendships in general, I learned a lot. I became a lot more self-aware. And I think this year was a really great year for personal growth for me. And I'm looking forward to living life as the person I am today and the person that I hope to become in the future.
Amazing. Surbhi, again, being thoughtful and deep with hers to make the rest of us just look like assholes. I love it. Alec, how about you?
I mean, just to follow up on that, as Philip said, Surbhi's smart and beautiful. The other two guys are cool.
Fair.
I'm gonna go thematically with Surbhi though. That I just like started putting more effort into being social, and I think that's very good. While I was traveling, just like talking to strangers in non-creepy ways has been like really rewarding. You meet a lot of weirdos, but you meet a lot of cool people and hear their stories, and you never talk to them again. It's great.
Yes.
But also even friends in my neighborhood or Brooklyn or whatever. In fact, before Omicron, I saw a different person every single day, and then I was like, oh fuck, I gotta stop doing this. So I would say the pandemic had deprived me so much of social interaction, allowed me to sort of like reboot that.
That's amazing. How lucky are all these strangers, Alec? Because you're a lovely person, and that's cool that now these people have gotten to experience some of that. You turn the crankiness off and turn the openness on, and the universe rewarded you. I love it.
And you used to hate strangers. Like we used to talk about that a lot, where you just hated strangers.
I mean, it depends on the context, but yeah, I mean, when you spend like 24 hours a day for several months with literally one other person, there's some boomers at a campfire and you're just like, so what do you do? What are you up to? And they'll tell you.
I love it. I love strangers. Hate people that I know. Hate them. Love strangers. Well, speaking of the last time I bonded with strangers, it was on my honeymoon because I got married this year. And after having to delay the wedding a couple times, we were able to actually get married, have our families there. As far as we know, no one got COVID. We did some precautionary stuff, but I just feel very, very lucky to get to marry someone who's been in my life for a very long time, who I love very much. Lucky to celebrate that with our friends and family, and lucky to do it in a safe way, like a week before everyone started talking about Omicron. And then also really blessed to just meet some fun strangers on our honeymoon. Shouts to my friends from San Diego, Art and Shannon, who really taught me a lot about, what life is. They were Art, my man's, who's a bit older, was just talking about how like work is the worst and you just got to get out as soon as you can. And the fun stuff in life is like traveling and hanging out with people you love. So listen, everyone, thematics coming together. Let's do another chap. We'll be quick so we don't get too negative. But Surbhi's probably going to go so negative with this. She's good at doing chaps that just get right to the core, right to the marrow of existence. Surbhi, what's another chap?
Yeah, if you cough in public or just cough at all anywhere and you don't cover your mouth, fuck you.
Wow.
So that like really angers me. Even like now, it's like just people just coughing. Just don't. Just cover your mouth. So that chap.
That's good. Good. I love this. Alec. Get negative.
People not washing their hands after they poop, Michael. No.
Yeah, I remember that.
Bring it all back. I gotta look at my list.
You have toilet paper between your hand and
dude.
the butthole.
No.
Okay.
I know someone who got the norovirus twice at work because this person claims their coworkers don't wash their hands.
Disgusting.
And that's a poop disease. That's not like a breathing disease. I'm going to regret this. People are going to get so
Do it.
mad at me. The entire Central Valley of California, it's just awful. It's a bad, grown in Bakersfield, these avocados, and you're like, it must be a lush paradise. But it's really like a fucking John Steinbeck novel where there's like dust devils and like tumbleweeds going around that get stuck in your fender. And you're just like, things shouldn't grow here. Stop it. And farmers have weird signs like, they're dumping all of our water in the ocean. Fucking liberals. And it's the bad place.
This is the perfect description of the Central Valley. I'm dying. It's so funny.
There's that beautiful experience of if you're in the Central Valley of California driving up the 5 where it's not so bad and all of a sudden a creeping smell comes on, and it's because you're driving through like all these industrial cow farms where there's shit everywhere and there's like streams of shit and the smell of shit goes everywhere. Yeah. And to be clear, this isn't hating on anyone who lives in the Central Valley.
Yeah.
Some people live in places that don't rip. I mean, there's lots of things I hate about where I live, but it's rough, and it's rough when you like just went to like Big Sur or the Sequoia National Park or like some of these incredible places and you're like, oh fuck, now I'm here. Yeah. But yeah, that's real. I'm going to say one of my chaps from this year is, and this is more of a cultural chap, I'm over nostalgia content. Let's move forward. Let's make new stuff, whether it's in books, in movies, in the music we listen to. Let's just move forward. Because what does it say about us as a culture that we're so obsessed with looking backwards and holding on to some imagined past that we think was great, but it really wasn't? Like, if we continue to only consume and get excited about nostalgia-based content, that's all we're going to get. Now, it's not our fault. It's companies' faults, blah, 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 blah. But I'm really sick of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Feels lazy.
Okay, let's end on a positive note. We'll do one slap. We'll end on that. We'll hit it quick. Alec is gracing us with his time, so I don't want to take up too much of it.
Oh, fuck, I need a second to think about this one. No, keep going.
Okay, so how about this? Well, you guys think of your last one. I'm going to look at the chat, and we'll see some people drop some slaps and chaps there. If I don't get all of yours, I'm sorry. Lex says, chaps that Christmas and New Year's, both fall on days I'm supposed to work. I really could have used the holiday pay. Dude Abide says, slaps, pay increase in work and see movies for free due to AMC A-list. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah. Chaps, work hours being cut. Damn, dude, that sucks. Justin says, slaps, graduating from university and got my first full-time job. Amazing, Woo! Justin. That's fucking rules. Chaps, Surbhi leaving the podcast.
Oh.
And burnout from work. David says, slap, my first child is getting born next week.
Yay!
That's
baby.
Amazing. I gotta read this one because this is my guy. Snooch Boochums, slap, saw Dead and Company after almost 2 years of no shows. Same, Snooch Boochums, same. And I will say, I met. No, I got Delta at a Grateful Dead tribute band show. I was very safe at Dead and Company weekend, in which I met. I don't know if I shared this story in the podcast. I'll say this now. I met a Wisecrack fan in the line to the bathroom at that show when I was in the middle of a bad experience from taking too much mushrooms and trying to hold on to my consciousness as hard as I could because I felt it slipping away from me. And in the middle of me just being like, focus, you're going to go to the bathroom, I hear, Michael? And I look up and it was a super nice dude who was just like, oh, I love Wisecrack. And I was just in my head, I felt like I was captaining a robot because my consciousness was like, you're going to put your fist out and you're going to say, thanks, bro. And I was like, thanks, bro. And then I went in the bathroom and my shirt started moving and flowers started blooming off of it.
That's great.
Yeah. It was wild. Joe M says, slap, got a job that let me work from home just in time for my 30th. Good job. Happy that. Snooch Boochum says, chap, my booster made me throw up. That sucks. Do a couple more real quick. Justin says, slap, Surbhi's personality and positive attitude through this year. Absolutely. Bonzo is going to contradict my chap, but they're right. The Beatles Get Back reminded me of how much I love the Beatles. I've never been a Beatles guy, but the 8-hour Peter Jackson Beatles documentary thing on Disney Plus kind of rips. Pablo Sanchez, slaps, been consistent in the gym for my last week's. Amazing. Oh, chaps, my wife and I are in different countries for the holidays. Sorry, dude. And I'll just hit these last two, and maybe I'll get to some other ones. Dark Mario 720. 720 is like 420 plus 3. Slaps, started streaming on Twitch again. Hell yeah. Chap, have very little views. You know what? You'll get there. Be consistent and have fun with it. It's going to be great. And then this isn't a slap or a chat, but Lazarus Project just said Surbhi is bae. All right, wait, what? It sucks to be. Okay, sorry. Okay, so let's do. I'm gonna do a slap too. Slap people in the chat that are telling people that are being annoying to shut up. Okay, let's hit our last slap. 2021. Surbhi, starting with you. Do it.
Okay, so my slap is that I'm experiencing the initial stages of what is bound to be a whirlwind romance.
Oh, no.
With an incredibly kind and respectful man who lives
Wait,
in Spain.
You went out for a second. I know the recording went through, Surbhi. You went out on Skype for a second. I didn't catch it. I don't know if anyone in the stream caught it, and I want to properly react to that. So, Surbhi, from the top.
Okay.
What's your final chap?
My final slap is that I
sorry.
Experiencing the initial stages of a blossoming romance. He's incredibly kind and respectful. He lives in Europe, which is obviously very on brand for me.
Typical Surbhi.
Yeah.
Surbhi, let me and Michael, we got to meet him. We got to vet him.
Yeah.
Yes,
Get him on this call. One more surprise guest. Get him on the line.
He's incredibly kind. I'm besotted with how kind and respectful he is. And it's hard for me because I've only ever dated abusive men. So when someone's like super nice, I'm like, oh, what? Like, you're not going to pressure me or like say something mean to me. So it's like recalibrating my baseline. So it's really nice. I'm really happy. I might see him in January. So very excited.
Yes. Well, you deserve it, Surbhi. You truly do. And I know we're all super psyched to hear that. Okay, Alec, try to compete with that.
I can't, and I'm going to just sound like a one-note hack, but I've been following our anti-work on Reddit. I suggest everyone do the same. But just like the general, I think like Planet Money called it like the great reshuffling or whatever, like people are either rage quitting their jobs, and good for you, or they're using other people rage quitting their jobs to negotiate for higher salaries or get better working conditions, or, you know, pushing their bosses to work remotely. And it's like the first time I've ever seen in my life where workers have any say in like anything. Normally it's just like, whatever, fuck you, take the $7.25 an hour. And like traveling, I would hear ads for like Wendy's paying $19 an hour and crazy shit. And like, it warms my cold dead heart. And Kellogg's, they just got a union contract. So that slaps.
That's so
amazing.
Nice. What are your plans for the new year? Are you gonna work or you're still taking time?
Yeah, so I'm sort of starting the job search. If anyone works for cool podcasts or anything, or video companies, just hit me up maybe.
Get at him.
Or if you have like a cool NFT
scam that I
scam.
think you would like.
Sorry, no, not NFT scam. I'm just kidding about that thing.
Well, Alec, remind me off pod. I feel like I saw a couple of things recently that might be up your alley, and I'm curious if you've seen them. But we won't talk about this here, because then if I say it on the podcast, maybe someone else hears it, and it makes the jobs more competitive.
Yeah.
We don't want that. I'll do my last slap real quick. I'll go a little bit earnest. Everyone. In 2021, I have prioritized and been proactive about my mental health. And I think that is a good thing. And I think this relates to some of the stuff that Alec is talking about, because often work and the pressures of things around us can really get in our heads in weird ways, and we might not even have time to value that. But in the same way that spending time in the woods rips and is probably also very valuable for mental health. Just like, reminding yourself that you, you're allowed to be happy and healthy, and there's a lot of factors that might be working against that, and you can be proactive. I know that in some countries like America, insurance is a scam and shit is hard, but if you can figure it out, it's worth it. I did a lot in 2021. I'll keep doing it in 2022, and it ripped. So there you go. There's our slaps and chaps, our mega round. We are going to do mailbag, but Alec, I don't want to make you stick around for that unless for some reason you really want to. So
I'm really hungry. I have to make lunch. I'm so sorry.
Okay, well, Alec, thank you so much for joining us. And, I'll say this to both Alec and Surbhi in 2022. Hopefully we can find a couple times where we can all be together in this form again on some special occasions whenever Mountain Dew sponsors us.
Yes.
So nice. Thank you so much for showing up, Alec. It's so nice to see you. I love this, the three of us together. This is so happy.
I made Surbhi happy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, and everyone. Follow Alec on Twitter. Alec, what's your Twitter now? Because I feel like it's not Wisecrack Alec now. It's not
It's
Zizek or
private.
something.
It's private, so that
Oh,
employers
never
can't find
mind.
me.
Never mind. Don't find Alec on social media. But if you're in Brooklyn, walk around. If you see a friendly face, smile at him. He loves strangers now.
Yeah, and if it looks like I'm doing shrooms, just be like, "Hey, man, what's up? Everything's okay. The world is real."
Just be cool, guys.
Be chill.
Be cool. Like that person at the Dead & Co show did. That guy, that dude was awesome. If he's ever listening to this, you ripped. Okay, we'll catch you
Bye.
soon, Alec. Have a great holiday.
Thanks,
Great
everyone.
seeing you.
Bye, Surbhi. We love you.
Bye. Oh,
Okay,
I'm so
folks,
happy.
we got
That
a
was
few
so
things.
nice.
A little surprise for you. We got a few things left on our docket before we call it a show. Let's see. Maddie, did you post the email and the phone number? And can you do that now?
I'm gonna just get my charger. I'll be back.
Oh, sorry. Cool. Surbhi's going to get her charger. Okay, cool. Maddie will post that. If you're on the stream, thanks for being here. This is a demo. I'll say this too after. This is not going to be in the podcast. This is going to be a stream only thing. But after the person who I saw at the Dead & Co show, recognized me from Wisecrack, a friend I was with turned to me and he was also on mushrooms. And he said, how does being recognized affect your ego and the way you think about yourself? And that's the worst question you could ask someone who is actively on mushrooms ever. Just the worst. So never do that. I'll take a look in the chat as well as we're hanging out here. Philip, thank you so much for your contribution and for your kind words. Let's see. Just looking through this again. Thank you, Tyler, for donating. That's amazing. Thank you for doing that. And Tyler says, shout out to Surbhi for never doing mukbang, persistently being a Harry Potter fan, always being kind-hearted, loving, and awesome individual who once complimented Michael's mom's vag. I forgot about that. Okay, cool. Maddie, did we post the info yet? Oh, the email address and phone number for the mailbag. Is it just on screen? I can read it off screen. Cool. Now this is the part where we'll just cut ahead in the edit, but okay. So, it's time to hit up the mailbag. So if you ever want to get in touch, call us at 213-534-8807. That is 213-534-8807. And email us at culturebinge@wisecrack.co. We have a lot this time and we're just like not going to get to it all. And I appreciate everyone for writing. And I hope especially if you wrote in to talk about Surbhi, she saw it. So even if it's not here, so I'll go through a few things really quick and then we'll end with some voicemails. Lily wrote in, and this is about the Spotify thing. And Lily's point was, that we've lost the sense of just enjoying something in the moment because we feel like if we don't capture it for others to see, did it matter? And that's why we love to share Spotify Wraps so people get to see what we're doing when there's no one around. And she wrote a really lovely long email and said, at one point, for instance, I saw a fox in my garden the other day, something at that as a French city girl I do not experience very often. It was really close to me and it was beautiful. When I told my mom about it on the phone, she asked me if I had taken a photo and was disappointed I had not. Lily says, that is absurd to me. I'd never seen a fox in real life before. Why would I want to take a photo when all I would have to do to see a photo of a fox would be to Google it? Now, I love this because I believe that if you're in nature having lovely experiences, you shouldn't take pictures. And I always say to other people, like, if you're at the Grand Canyon, put your fucking phone away, Google it. There's better pictures of the Grand Canyon on Google Images. Just enjoy it. By the way, it was a long email and it was amazing. And at the end of it, Lily says this, Surbhi, I'm so glad you are taking more time for yourself. I relate to a lot of things you say, being a workaholic and hypersensitive person myself, and I've really benefited from a lot of your insights and sheer awareness. Best of luck to you, Michael, for carrying the torch. You guys are amazing. So thank you, Lily, for that.
Thank you, Lily.
Yeah. Gavin wrote in to highlight the importance of live theater. So I think kind of like Lily's email that emphasized how when you see a fox, you just got to experience the fox. Gavin talks about how live theater is you had to be there experience, something you can't capture, not in the theater. So I think that's really amazing. Ray wrote in about a book called Quality Land that sounds very cool. And I want to read about it. It's a sci-fi comedy novel. It sounds really great. But they also told us what Spanish foods we are. Surbhi is paella. Slow cooked in a big pan with methodic despite seeming chaotic steps, and with a variety of ingredients that are not always the same, with a characteristic flavor but an open personality. Also, she will be in Valencia and Barcelona. That's so much in common. Michael is chorizo. They will tell you he's just a spicy sausage, like others in so many other places, and with just as good philosophical arguments. But no, ours is different, more savvy with different ingredients, and it's just great, okay? The guests are gazpacho. I'm not going to hit this too much, but Joshua wrote a great email about the Jeremy Strong criticism about our society values fitting in over being individually successful. And I'll say, since we talked about the Jeremy Strong thing, I'm all in. Let Jeremy be strong, Let actors be weird. We need weird artists, and that's important. I'll hit these very quickly, then we'll do voicemails. I think Camille or Camille, depending on where you're at in the world, told us who we are as beaches in the Philippines. And Alec got one of these, so... it's fun too. Michael is Sirigao. Sorry if I'm getting these pronunciations wrong. Because I'm adventurous enough to try surfing, going around the island, trying different levels of difficulty based on how intense the waves are. Islands offer a fusion of food. This sounds great. I love surfing and I love new foods. Alec would be Molboal because there's a nearby falls called Kawawasan Falls where you can trek and do canyoneering. That makes perfect sense. Surbhi would be BR Boracay. I'm just butchering these pronunciations. I hope I can go to the Philippines and experience this all one day and apologize for these pronunciations. The best white sand the Philippines has to offer, tranquil beach with the clearest of waters, perfect for a workaholic power woman who deserves her R&R. Best place to kite surf too, but I don't think that's her thing. But she can end up opening her own cute boutique at a prime beach. Michael Burns says at the end of his email, don't go anywhere, please, or else. I'm not leaving. Don't worry. Maddie and I are here forever. And yeah, there's there's a lot of other good emails. I can't get to all of them right now. Let's hear some voicemails because they're for Surbhi. It's her last show. Are those queued up, Maddie? Great.
Hi, calling to leave Surbhi a goodbye message. I've never related to her more than that episode where she talked about her love of the Olympics. And I can only imagine her excitement for the 2022 Olympics in February. I know I'm excited. Thanks for being on the show for so long, Surbhi. I enjoyed hearing your talks about a number of issues, your slaps and chaps, and wishing you the best in your future.
That's so nice. Thank you.
Let's keep them rolling. Let the Surbhi love continue. May it
This
never
is
end.
for Culture Binge. Yo, this is Ramsey, long-time listener, second-time questioner. I really liked when you guys were talking about Spotify Unwrapped. I feel like beyond servicing a kind of like human vanity, I feel like in the analog era, people used to define themselves more by the musical genre they listened to. They're like, I'm a metalhead or I'm a punk, and there was like a uniform and an ethos, and there's this hilarious scene in the Mike Mills film 20th Century Women where this like DC hardcore kid beats up a Talking Heads fan because like his music's like quote unquote baggy, and I feel, and that was like a sectarian skirmish between subgenres of the same genre, so it was like really wild. And I feel like since Napster and like with streaming as well, like it pushed it further, like it broke down the walls between genres, and they're less like religious sects and more like flavors that you could like pepper playlists with, a little bit of hip hop, a little bit of country, and they don't mean as what they did back then. And I feel like Spotify and Wrapped services something like that's kind of like moved with modern society where we are less an industry based and more consumer based, and we want to know, we define ourselves by what we consume, and Spotify and Wrapped is giving us that. And I kind of feel like what's stopping Amazon from doing their own, and someone look at it about, oh, I'm a gel pen kind of girl, and it's kind of like spiritually bankrupt way to kind of see yourselves define yourself by what you buy. And I feel like that's what it kind of is. There's no, that is my very hurried point. But yeah, good job, and all the best with the future, Surbhi. Big fan. Bye.
That was a great
Ramsey.
That was a great voicemail.
That's great. I totally agree too. Like, I'm definitely old enough to remember a time where what music you're into was one of the most important things. I remember almost getting in a fight in middle school because at that point I defined myself as someone that liked East Coast rap music. And there was a kid who would wear corn shirts to school all the time. And he like made fun of me for liking rap music. And because he liked corn, I was like, well, I fucking hate you because you like this music. And one of the best things, and it's I like that Ramsey tied this to Napster because there was this emergence, and I think it affected younger millennials and Gen Z in a positive way, for sure, where it's like, oh, you can just listen to lots of stuff and that can be your personality. And I know that I think for me, the reason I like Spotify Wrapped is it does tap into that elder millennial desire for cultural identity. And when I see it and I'm like, yeah, I'm a guy who listens to rap music and the Grateful Dead, and that's who I am. So that was great. And I think Ramsey's point is very funny about Amazon too, that if we saw our consumer things, we would not be as happy.
Right. I liked the callback to Napster, and it just reminded me of a time when it was like you would just wait around for hours for your song to download and just pray you didn't get a virus.
Just hours for a song. And then it would not be the real song sometimes.
No, it would not.
I think there's one last email. Am I correct in that, Maddie? Or sorry, last voicemail? Okay, let's do it.
Hi, I'm leaving this message for Culture Binge. I left the last message. It's really cringe, so I'm starting over. I just wanted to say to Surbhi, thank you so much for your voice and your insights on this podcast. I've been listening since 2017, since I was 21 years old, and now I'm 25. And I went from college into my first career just listening to you guys' podcast. And you've given me so much insight over the past 4 years, and every week / every 2 weeks, I genuinely look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. I also wanted to thank you, Surbhi, for being yourself on the internet, because the internet is a space that can rip you apart for being yourself. So I just want to acknowledge the courage and the bravery that it takes to do so. I'm seriously going to miss you. I also want to say I've wanted to leave voicemails for years now, but I think as is nature of parasocial relationships, you've become sort of a celebrity in my mind, although I know you all aren't celebrities by any means, but it's just been really intimidating for some reason to reach out. But knowing that you're gone, I don't know, it feels like the family's falling apart, and so it feels imperative now more than ever to reach out and to express my gratitude. I genuinely hope that you take care of yourself and you rest and you be well. It's so important. I believe everyone should be well, but especially my Wisecrack friends. I also want to say that I've always wanted to create internet content for years, and this year is the year I started doing that, and I absolutely attribute my courage to listening to you all's courage every week for the past 4 years. So you will be sincerely missed, Surbhi. I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you leave and take care of yourself. So I wish you the very best. Please don't leave anyone else. But yeah, thank you so much. Oh, lastly, a topic idea, creating content on the internet with authenticity. What are your tips for doing that? Thank you so much. Talk to you later. Bye.
That was such a nice voicemail. Thank you.
That was amazing. I started crying and I stopped because of toxic masculinity. And I like that topic idea as well. So Maddie, definitely write that down if you want to make a note. But yeah, and that's a great voicemail for us to wrap up on, because everything that was said there is right. Surbhi, having you've been on this podcast longer than I have. I've only gotten to know you in the context of this podcast, but in this time you've become a person who is meaningful in my life and someone who I've learned a lot from and who I'm inspired by and I think a lot about, because you're a very singular person. I don't know anyone like Surbhi. And I think something that people pointed out, both in emails, on our Discord, and some people that reached out on Twitter, is that you've had this really wonderful ability to balance worlds and perspectives on this podcast in a way that doesn't fall into a lot of the basic categorizations that people have on the internet, personality types. And I think that it's a very special skill. And more important than any of that, it's so good that you're putting yourself first and you're putting your happiness first and your health first. And I think none of us would want anything more for you than that. So I won't say anything else too emotional, but and I will say that if you do not come back at least a couple times, I'll burn your house down.
I will definitely come back. Wisecrack has been such a big part of my life for so many years, so there's no way that I could walk away forever.
It's like the mob. Once you're in, you can't leave.
Yes, I'm a made woman. So I just want to say something really fast. I know we're coming up at time, but Culture Binge saved me in a lot of ways when I was so sad, and everyone had so many kind things to say to me. So thank you for listening, and thank you for writing in.
Hell yes. Thank you, everyone. So once again, if you can still, if you have things to say to Surbhi, we'll let her keep email access for a few more weeks. So you can write culturebinge@wisecrack.co. You can call it 213-534-8807. Once again, culturebinge@wisecrack.co, 213-534-8807. Just a little housekeeping before we formally wrap up. Next episode, I'm going to be talking to Kyle Lewis and Will Strong, who run a thing called the Autonomy Research Group or Institute in the UK that's all about work. And they work with companies to help them make people work less. And they wrote a book called Overtime, Why We Need a Shorter Working Week, published by Verso Press. It's currently 40% off if you get the ebook or paperback. And I only say that because if you want to check that book out before the episode, it'd probably be fun and maybe make the episode a little more interesting for anyone. And I hate to say this now, but I will. For anyone who is deeply sad that Surbhi's leaving, and for anyone who got reminded of how great Alex was and is thinking, what the fuck are they going to do? Just know that on our end, we're going to try to keep this podcast great, and we're going to try to grow with you all, and we're going to bring some great people on. No one that could replace Surbhi or Alec or anyone, but we're still here, and we're still going to really try to make a show that'll make all of you happy, because we love you as an audience. You mean a lot to us, and I hope none of you who listen to this podcast underestimate the meaning of your emails, your voicemails, your comments, your tweets, all those sorts of things. They mean a lot to us, and we don't take that lightly. So in 2022, we will not let you down. In the meantime, Surbhi, where can people follow you on Twitter to keep up with you in the meantime as you live your life and pursue European love?
You can tweet me, Surbhi Patel 22.
Amazing. As always, I'm at Michael O. Burns. I'm Burns 42069 on Letterboxd if you're on that app, and Michael O. Burns with underscores around the O's on Instagram. Thanks as always to our producer Maddie, who makes it all happen and is just the best. You can hit her up on the official Culture Binge Twitter account. Maddie, what's the Culture Binge Twitter account? Is it just at Culture Binge Pod? We should say that every episode. I don't know why I don't. That's crazy. Go to at Culture Binge Pod. You can hit us up there. Maddie is the secret force behind that, so keep up with her there. We'll end on this. Stay safe. Happy holidays. We'll miss you, Surbhi. This has been Culture Binge. We'll see you next time.